talk about the Yamaha Stagepas 200 BTR. Now the BTR is the battery version because you can buy this with a battery or without. And if you buy it without, you can always add a battery later. It still does have the battery compartment, it just doesn't come with the battery. So I bought it with the battery because I was looking to replace my JBL Eon 1 Compact. And I liked my Eon 1 Compact, it worked just fine for me, but the output just wasn't quite there. If it had 3 or 4 more dB of output, it probably would have been fine for me, but it just, every wedding ceremony I did with it, I just always had to have everything maxed out. And if you have no extra headroom, it's just an issue. And I thought about getting a second one and doing a stereo pair and maybe having that, you know, alleviate some of the issues, but really what I just needed was more headroom. And then I saw Yamaha came out. I've got quite a few Yamaha speakers. I do like their speakers, so I think overall they're good quality. But I will say with this, I think, so I bought the Yamaha Stagepas 1K, first one that came out. I got 2 of those. And then I did buy 2 of the Yamaha Stagepas 1K Mark IIs when they came out. So I've got 2 of the originals and 2 of the updated version. And I haven't made a video about the Mark IIs yet. I'm going to do that. But I'll say right here, my thought with the Mark IIs is the Mark II is what the Mark I should have been. It's like with the Mark I, they cut some corners here and there and just didn't make it the speaker that it could have been. And then it's like with, you know, people's reviews and sales and complaints, they're like, oh, yeah, maybe we should have made it better. So then they made a Mark II and actually made it a little bit better and fixed all the issues that the Mark I had. So the Mark II is a good speaker. Now, I feel like the same thing is going to go on with this, that eventually they're going to come out with a Mark II and it's going to fix some very basic issues that I think should have been addressed with this version. And I say all the time, could these speaker companies not just like send me a speaker and be like, hey, test this out for a week, and I would come back with a list of like, fix this, 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 and this. Like, it's gonna annoy the crap out of people. Like, I sometimes wonder if speaker manufacturers actually use their gear. Like, do the engineers know anything about the practical application of the speaker, or do they just make a speaker and I'm like, oh, here you go, huh? It works. Well, anyways, let's dig into the speaker. And let's start out with the battery, which is my biggest gripe right here. So the speaker in general, I would say, is a good speaker. The implementation of the battery is subpar. Like, it's got good battery life, maximum 10 hours, and but keep in mind, if you want that maximum 10 hours, you charge it, and then you immediately start using it for 10 hours. Because if you charge it and let it sit for a few days, oh, that battery is going to drain. And it's going to drain obnoxiously fast. And this is one thing my JBL Eon 1 Compact did not have an issue with. Like, I used to use that speaker in my basement. When I wasn't using it for events, it'd be down in my basement, and it'd be my little battery-powered karaoke speaker, so I wouldn't have to run cords anywhere. I'd just charge it up, throw it on my step with a wired mic plugged into it. And I bet, and it's not like I'd just sing karaoke for like 10 hours in a row. I bet I would, you know, I'd sing a couple songs here in practice. If I was going out to karaoke, I'd sing a couple songs prior. But I'd be doing it regularly over the course of 1, 2, maybe close to a 3rd month. And I wouldn't recharge the battery and it would still have power. Then I'd see it's getting low and I'd plug it in, charge it back up, and then I'd just leave it unplugged for a while, like months. This, and I was using it. I was using it during that time. Now this, you can 100% fully charge it, shut it off, throw it on the shelf in the corner, and if you come back in 2 weeks, it'll be half dead. If you come back in 3 weeks, it'll be 75% dead. And if you come back in 4 weeks, you won't even be able to turn it on because it will be 100% dead. And I just do not understand the continuous battery drain of this thing when it is off. Like, that is just horrid And in the manual, if you read the manual, they say, well, if you're not going to use it for a while, take the battery out. To take the battery out of my Eon 1 compact, the battery was on the back. You'd flip up this thing, twist it, the back panel would pop off, and you'd take the battery out. They made it to be field replaceable, hot swappable, or not hot swappable, but field replaceable, with no tools necessary. This, 4 screws to take the panel off, then there's screws that hold the battery in, and they want you to take the battery out regularly. Oh, you're not going to use it for a couple weeks? Take the battery out. Oh, because it's so easy. I mean, who thought of that? Like, it irritates the crap out of me. And I'm a Yamaha fan, but come on, guys. So I'm sure I'm just over time going to just destroy the battery in this thing because I let it sit dead all the time. Not because I use it until it's dead and never recharge it. I recharge it and then I just let it sit there and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I go to use it while it's dead, so I guess I gotta plug it in, you know, for 6 hours before I leave for my gig. And now there is a way, like I forget what it is in the manual, but there is a way, you know, you push a few buttons or something and you power it off and it kills the battery drain. Like it makes it so the battery does not drain at all. Great, right? Well, it is great until you're thinking, oh, I don't have to charge it because my battery is full. You grab your speaker and you go to your gig. You're out in the middle of nowhere for some wedding ceremony, maybe out in the field, out in the woods, and you go to turn it on, well, and it doesn't turn on because you 100% killed the battery drain. And the only way to bring it out of that situation is to plug it into the wall. Well, if you could plug it into the wall, why would you need a battery-powered speaker, right? So, I mean, I don't understand the methodology behind why it's designed like this. Like, if you want a system to kill the battery, put a real switch on it. There, I disconnected the battery. Like, it just really, really boggles my mind and really irritates me, the battery implementation on this. And I guarantee one day they're going to come out with the Mark II and they're going to tout the revolutionary battery fixes that they put in this thing. And it's like, it's not revolutionary battery fixes. It's the way the Mark I should have been to begin with. You shouldn't put out a product like this that has a horrendous power off battery drain and an inability to kill the battery. An ability to kill the battery, but an inability to turn it on if you kill the battery. Like, you have to plug it in to negate the battery killing function. I don't know, it just seems so stupid and so weird. But on to some things I like. I like the cube. I think it's kind of cool to have a little cube. Now, it might be a little bit of a pain in the ass if you're using it as a floor wedge and you have to use these. I don't know, they're a little annoying. I never use them like that. I just set it places, and because I'm either using it for setup music or typically like this on a stand for a wedding ceremony. That's what I bought it for. I have thought about buying a second one and doing wireless from one to the other and having a stereo setup, and I do think like it would be a good wedding ceremony system with 2 of them. But the battery issue kind of keeps me on edge about buying a second one, because I feel like as soon as I buy the second one, they're going to come out with a Mark II. But I like the cube. Some people might not like the cube. I happen to like it. It is kind of weird that when it's on the stand, it's sideways. Now their logo is a circle anyway, so it probably doesn't matter, and most people aren't going to notice to begin with. It does have to be sideways though, so you can access the mixer. Because, you know, if the pole socket was here and all the knobs were on top, it'd be kind of a pain in the ass to use. But the big thing that I like about this mixer this speaker is the mixer. I like the Stagepas mixers. I like how easy they are. You know, you've got volume up, you've got a one knob EQ system that if you're just using handheld mics works just fine. The effects are just fine. I like the overall speaker mode, speech, club. I typically keep it on music, but like yesterday I had this out with a lavalier mic. 100% battery operated system because I use the Sennheiser EWDP receivers that are battery powered. This, I mean, as a cheap gig, $250 to go in and just set up a speaker on a stand with a lav mic. I went in, set this up, I had the app on my phone, did a couple of notches on the lav mic, super easy, out the door, came back a few hours later, tore it down. It just doesn't get any easier than that. Zero cables to worry about, and that's why I have this. I like it. I like the app, I like the mixer. Now one thing to keep in mind when you're using the app is if you turn this up to here and this up to here, that's maximum volume. So if you really want to control all the volume from the app, you have to like max out these knobs and then you get full volume control. These are almost like limiters. Like if you put that at 50, this at 50, that is the loudest the speaker will get, and in the app you can only turn it down and up to that point. Which doesn't bother me, so I usually set it as a max level I would, you know, tend to have it at, and then adjust it in the app from there. Let's see. What can I complain about next? I do like that it has 3 mic inputs because a lot of mixers out there, or a lot of battery powered speakers, will only have 2. So I like that this had 3, because normally, you know, I've got the Officiant headset or lav. Sometimes I'll have a headset. But say I wanted to mic up the bride and groom, or potentially have a 3rd mic for me to possibly make some announcements before the ceremony or something. It's just nice to have it that way, you know, to have that extra mic input. And I do like that it has a stereo in as well as the Bluetooth. They're on the same channel. I don't necessarily like the implementation of it though. Implementation tends to be where I get my irritations on the speaker, because having to do, I'm digging in the case for the speaker, because I always keep this guy in there, which is a stereo 1/8 inch to a stereo 1/4 inch, because they do it as, says right on here, ground, right, left. I'm not a big fan of this because this is not the standard aux cord that people have. You know, most mixers will be, you know, have a headphone to headphone jack, like a headphone in. So I've got a lot of those cords. Or a mixer will have mono dual quarters. So I have a lot of those cords. I did not own a cord like this. I had to special order this just to have it for this. Which means I don't have a backup of this. I probably should have a backup, but and eventually I probably will. I think I wanted to test this cord first to make sure it actually worked. Because oddly, I did try one of my 1/8 inch to 1/8 inch and then took one of those like 1/4 inch headphone adapters and put it on there. And that didn't work. And maybe I was just using a bad cord or something, I don't know. But this cord did work. But I just don't like that this isn't a common stereo in, summing everything to one input. It's just not common. It's not common on mixers. It's not common on speakers. I just wish they would have done, if you're gonna do something like this, just do an 1/8 inch in. That way anybody's standard aux cord works. That way, because there's times where sometimes I'll hook my DJ controller up and I'll have the standard like RCA to headphone jack aux cord. And on something like this, I just flip it around and do my RCA mains out of the speaker, or out of the mixer, and plug it right into the headphone jack on here. So I just feel like that would be better than this thing they have going on with this. Not a fan of that. The output is the same way. Obviously, I would have preferred if that was an XLR out, but being as it's just a balanced 1/4 inch, I can live with it. I've got a lot of those adapters. so not the end of the world there. IEC in. I do like the battery check, although the battery check doesn't work when it's off. You do have to power it on, which you'd think the battery check would work when it's off because it's consuming so much goddamn power. But I used it at a 3-hour event. They did turn it off. I'm down 1 battery bar. So the battery does last. This is the next day. But like I said, if I came back here in a week and did this same thing without even having this on, it'd probably be half dead. Because I used it a little now. I guarantee it'd either be... I'd probably be down to two lights, would be my guess. Yep, handle on top. It is a little on the heavy side. Not horrible. The bag that you can buy for it does have wheels and a pull-up handle. And then the speaker just kind of goes in the top there. I actually really do like this case. It comes in handy because it has a really big front pocket. So I keep the charging cord in there. I keep this in here, which is the little case that I keep two of the Sennheiser EW DP digital UHF receivers. And like I said, these you can just click them right there. If you've only, like yesterday, I had just one clicked on there because I was only using one mic. But if I'm doing a wedding ceremony, I just take 2, click them right on top of each other, and then you just use the little cords that come with it, which are a little headphone jack that screws in and locks to an XLR. And it just makes a super neat, tidy, 100% battery-powered solution for well, wedding ceremonies, little corporate things. If you need a microphone in a hallway, just easy to throw it up and let it be battery powered. And if everything is fully charged, you're solid for having it out there for the length of a corporate event, like full day, 8 hours, and not having to worry about, oh shoot, it's going to be dead around lunch, I should plug it in. No, you're pretty solid just letting it sit there and be on. So I always keep these in here because I mostly use it with this speaker. And then I do keep my nice Sennheiser Lab mic in here. But as far as the actual body pack and handheld, I do actually have the it uses the same system as the regular Sennheiser EWD. So I keep the body pack and the handheld with that system. Actually, my handheld's upstairs right now, but I keep those with this. And then if I know I'm going to be using it, I just grab one of these, and then I also have that as a backup, you know, just in case I need to put a mic somewhere else. But yeah, I think that's about all I got for you. As far as sound quality with this thing, it definitely gets louder than my JBL did. I do think sometimes, like, I've had it on a table and I've shown it to people, and with us like standing around it, like if I've got this here, whoops, it is kind of a heavy speaker. If I've got this here and we're like standing around it, right, and we just kind of crank it up and crank some tunes on it, it kind of sounds a little distorted up close, and I don't know if that's because we're standing over it, behind it. I don't know if the coaxial driver just doesn't sound the best from the sides, if the time alignment is maybe off when it comes to that. I don't really know. Maybe it's just bad system tuning from Yamaha. I'm not 100% sure. But when I use it at an event and I have it up on a stand and, you know, I'm 20 feet away from it and I've got it cranked, it sounds nice and clear. No issues whatsoever. But up close, if you're standing over it, I sometimes feel when you push it, it sounds distorted. So I don't know if that's just an off-axis listening issue. I don't know. But I always feel like, oh, it kind of sounds distorted when I'm showing people the speaker. But then when I use it at an event and I have it set up like this, I'm like, oh, that sounds good. So, I don't know. First coaxial speaker I've ever used, so I don't know if it's a product of that or just bad system tuning or just the way it is, but it doesn't inhibit me at gigs. So I haven't had, you know, it's not something where I'd say don't buy it because of this, but just something to think about where it oddly just kind of sounds distorted. If you have it on a table and you're standing by it. But if you put it on a stand or you have it on a table and you're listening, you know, 10 feet out in the front, it sounds fine. So, I don't know. But yeah, that's about all I got for you. I like the app. I don't know if I fully went over the app. I'm not going to show the app or anything, but I like the fact that it's got a parametric EQ, because if you're doing anything with lav mics or something, you cannot just take a lav mic and go like, I'm just going to one knob it to mic EQ. No, that's for a handheld. Now, if I have a handheld, oh yeah, I'll just do that. One knob it to handheld and call it a day. But lav mic, you got to have that parametric, and you've got to notch out the feedback. Otherwise, you're going to have some issues. But like I said yesterday, I just had my phone with me, and I just did it quick on my phone was already connected to it. I opened up the app, went into mic 1, narrowed the Q, popped up, went around, notch, put the high pass filter in, and it sounded great. So I wasn't there when they were done with the event, but the restaurant that was tearing down said they loved the speaker, probably because they've never had somebody bring in something as simple as this. So that's why I have it. That's why I like to use it. And I will patiently wait for Mark II. Yes. Unless I really need another one, then I'll buy a second one. But I swear as soon as I buy a second one, they're going to come out with a Mark II. Anyways, if you have any questions about this speaker, throw it down in the comments section. Till next time, have a good day.